Now we're going to switch gears and focus the conversation on children and teens on the internet. Is privacy even an issue for them? To discuss this, we're joined by Amber MacArthur. She is a web consultant and journalist. Winston C. is a 16-year-old avid online user, and joining us via Skype from Surrey, BC is Samantha Wilson, founder of KidProof. Winston, let's start with you. Are there any limits to what you'll say or do on the internet?
There are a ton of limits. I watch everything I say on social networks like Twitter, Facebook. I think it's a very important thing to realize what you're saying, because you can have things like Twitter, your social networks. People will follow you, and you don't have to have approval if that's the way you choose. You can set privacy settings there, as with many social networks. But with Twitter, having such a public area to put your thoughts and comments, it's really important to note what you're saying, who's seeing it, and even potential employers. Because I'm only 16, it's important to know that what you say is permanent on the internet, and in the future, when you're applying for jobs, your future employers can look your name up, and if they see something that's maybe more embarrassing, then that won't look very good.
Now, Amber, my bet is that Winston is probably more self-restrained than more teenagers, based on your experience. Do you think that Winston is the exception?
Well, I think Winston's a great model for teenagers because he's aware of what he's doing online and where that information can go. I think the reality is that there are a lot of teens out there who aren't really thinking about their future. I know when I was that age, I didn't think a lot about the job I was going to have in 10 years. And so I think there needs to be more education done, especially for that age group, talking about how to protect your privacy online, what to post, what not to post, and how to use these different sites so you don't have an embarrassing situation in the future.
All right. Now, Samantha, as a mother and a former police officer, what are some of the big mistakes you see out there for children?
You know, a lot of kids are quite aware, like Winston says, of the privacy settings and really of protecting themselves online. And they know all of these issues that we've been talking about for a long time. But the reality is studies are showing that kids really are not protecting their privacy. I know that, I think it was McAfee, I just saw a report that came out not too long ago that said about 43% of 16 to 17-year-olds actually were giving their private information to people that they just met online.
And what's wrong with that, Samantha? Tell us what the dangers are of doing that.
Well, the dangers really are, you know, there's a lot of dangers online. The biggest one really is connecting with people that you don't know. You know, face to face, you have all of these great cues, or you have these ways of determining if somebody is really who they say they are and out for the same purpose. Online, we have these different personas, and there's this disconnect. So people, and kids in particular, tend to do things online that they would never do in person.
Another great example is your phone number and your address. That information doesn't really need to be on Facebook. And although you can set your privacy settings on Facebook, like having limited profiles and setting your personal information settings in there, it also is important to know that hackers and people on the internet are finding ways to get around that and sort of outsmarting the team at Facebook, for example. And they can eventually get to that information, and that's very valuable data to different companies and even hackers out in the world.
We're going to shift the debate now. Amber, let's look at what we need to do to protect children and think about what we need to do online.
Well, first of all, you know, not that I want to blame parents. I'm also a new mom, but the reality is parents need to really understand what their kids are doing online, and most of them don't. I mean, the kids are way more tech savvy than the parents, and so I think parents need to get onto Facebook. I know one mom, for example, her kids don't want her on Facebook. They don't want to be her friend, so she went on as the family dog, and they were okay with being friends with the family dog. So it was a way to kind of get around it and still keep an eye on what her kids were doing online. So parents need to get educated. I think they need to do more education in school just to teach young people that, yes, these tools are fantastic, but you have to be careful, especially when we get technology like location-based services that are becoming more popular, people telling people exactly where they are. I mean, now is the time for people to really start understanding how to protect their privacy online and still have fun and use these tools to their potential.
Now, Samantha, Amber raises a very good point, which is that parents often lag their children in terms of their technical skills. What sort of practical advice do you have for parents?
Well, the number one thing parents should remember is that the internet is a place. It's not a thing. So we're used to protecting our kids in all kinds of places outside this world. So now we have to use the same techniques we use, but inside. And really, it comes down to protecting kids online isn't a technology issue. Actually, technology will help you and help you learn more. It really is a parenting issue. So keeping those lines of communication open, knowing what your kids are doing online, and really what I think is going to happen in the next the next generation is, my oldest boy is 23, so he started this when he was much younger. But now the new parents that are coming up here that are really used to technology and really grew up in this world, I think we're going to see a little bit of less of a gap between the knowledge of technology from parents in the next generation really to what the kids are doing. So I think that's the bright side. For now, though, we also need to engage kids like Winston to help mentor other kids and really help educate them from a peer point of view, not just us adults speaking at them all the time. They tend to listen to their peers a little bit better.
What do parents need to be thinking about? What advice would you give to a parent about where kids can go wrong on the internet?
They always say to parents, have your computer in a public place so that you can see what your kids are doing on the internet, keep that line of communication going. And what the reality is, phones like iPhones and Blackberries, they will get access to internet whether the parents see them or not.
Specifically, what's out there that you worry about? Things that you see that you think parents don't know about? What do they need to be thinking about?
Public services like Craigslist really scare me. I think that's one thing that many teens often go on to. Maybe they want some extra money, so they go and perhaps sell something. And I think the whole idea of bringing the internet and your personal life together, for example, maybe you're selling an Xbox game or something, you have to meet up with the person to see if they like it, and that bringing strangers with your teens, and often parents don't know these things, that really scares me, and it worries me that sometimes teens will take advantage of that, and it could bring them in danger.
All right, this has been a great debate. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank our panelists, Amber MacArthur, Winston See., and Samantha Wilson. We're going to continue the debate online at globeandmail.com. And join us next week for our final series on global food. Thank you for watching.